Hi, welcome back to Ignite Success, where we sit on this white couch and we just talk to some amazing people doing amazing things to get their backstory, to motivate you, inspire you, and ignite success. I'm Sherrie Clark and I'm your host. And speaking of, today's guest, Linda Sexton, is doing just that. She has written the book, authored the book, The Branches We Cherish. And it's an open adoption memoir. And she's back. She's been on it before, and she had such great information. We've got her back. Thank you, Linda, for joining us again, and we want to learn more about what you're doing and about your book.
Thank you, Sherrie, and thank you for having me back. I really appreciate that. And yes, I am an adoptive mom of 2 children, and I have a mission now to educate on the largely unknown topic of open adoption. And that means that birth parents and adoptive parents, as well as the adopted child, are known to each other and connect, and this connection can possibly be for life. And what I learned by raising my children in an open arrangement is that they have benefited greatly by knowing and connecting with their birth parents. And actually, even beyond their birth parents, their entire birth families, it has been a real blessing for them and for everyone involved in the constellation.
Yeah, and I can understand that. You know, I always said a child can never have too many people to love them, who love them. And, being in the world and talking to people since that have been adopted, their history, their health history, all these other issues, as well as just that curiosity of what their family's like, it becomes something that starts growing in them to learn about their past. I mean, don't we all want to learn about our past and where we came from? That's why they have those DNA tests, and people can learn where they come from and all this stuff, because we want to learn, where did we come from? What was our past? Who were our ancestors? Who are our relatives? So how can we think anything different of a child who's been adopted?
Right. That transparency really does make a difference.
Yeah, yes. So what did you learn in the process, though, of writing your book?
Yes, well, I learned so much in the process of writing my book, and one of the important things that I discovered with my research and as I was writing was that my children's birth parents did not receive the help that they really needed after post-placement, if you will. There's undeniable grief with losing the ability to parent your child. They needed professional help. They didn't get it. I also learned that 1/3 of adolescents that are referred to for psychotherapy are actually adopted. So adopted children also, no matter how wonderful the family is, they do experience a loss and they do have to deal with that. So that's why 100% of the author profits from my book are going to be going to organizations that support the unique needs of birth parents and adoptees post-placement.
Well, that's really admirable that you're doing that with, your proceeds. That's great, and I kudos to you.
Thank you.
You're actually literally putting your money where your mouth is.
Absolutely.
You're taking action to help, and it's really all the way around, unless it's planned. It's a difficult path to navigate.
It is a difficult path, and in fact, it's something that when we went into it, imagine this, 30 years ago, when my husband and I decided to adopt a baby, we learned that we only qualified if we agreed to an open adoption. That was such an uncomfortable concept for us at the time, and we had so many questions. Like, what's it like in the first year, 5 years, 20 years later? How awkward is it going to be to raise a child with the birth parents in the picture? And what does visitation even look like between adoptive families and birth families? And then we had this big fear of, if a birth mom comes back and visits her baby, is she going to want that baby back? So the agency had only been doing open adoptions for 3 years at the time. They couldn't answer those questions. So we had to basically learn as we went. And now, after nearly 3 decades of holding relationships with all 4 of my children's birth parents and their families, I can answer these and so many more questions. And that's why I wrote the book, and it's all in the book.
Yeah, and I think that a book would be good for people who are looking into adoption, and maybe they've even come across the same situation, like if you want to, it has to be open adoption, but also those parents who, for whatever reason, have to give their child up for adoption, and let them see, like, this is an option for you.
Yes.
And so I would think that would bring some kind of comfort to them as well.
Absolutely. I think there actually today 70 to 90% of adoptions are open to some degree. Now there's a range. It could be I know who you are and I send pictures and letters all the way to visitation. It's really up to the adoptive family and the birth family how to do that. But that transparency is so helpful to everyone, particularly the child, as the child is the North Star with any adoption. And them having as much information and as much transparency as possible really helps them grow up whole.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much, Linda, for what you're doing and how you're helping families and children who are getting adopted. Come back anytime. It's been great. I want to hear about what happens. Your book is going to be released when?
I will come back. Thank you. February 20th, 2024, so I'm about 6 months away. Wow. But you can go to my website at lindarsexton.com, sign up for my blogs and my newsletter, and actually if you do, I will send you my 10 tips, the things that I wish I knew when I started my open adoption journey.
Yeah. Wise words. Thank you. You've got a website. If you want to know even more, you can go to iwantabuzz.com, and that's this for this segment, and we'll catch you in the next one. With Storehouse Media Group, we are an award-winning publisher, and we are everything books. We take an author who wants to write a book, whether it's with a concept, and we help flesh it out, develop it, or we will write the book for them, or we edit the book, or we publish the book, and we can market it to bestseller. All of the above. Everything books. That's what Storehouse Media Group is.